Here now is Dan Henninger. He's Wall Street Journal editorial page deputy editor and Fox News contributor. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with Macron and everything that happened there today. What progress did you see being made, if any?
Melissa, I did not see a lot of progress going on there, but you just had to use the phrase "and everything else going on."
Yeah.
I've been sitting here listening to this commentary on the markets, and it looks to me as though maybe the circuits are getting overloaded. Just consider what is going on right now. You've got Emmanuel Macron here in Washington talking to the president about the Iranian nuclear deal, whether that should be continued or whether the U.S. will withdraw. Simultaneously, there's the issue of trade with the Europeans, the steel and aluminum tariffs, whether they're going to be exempted. Steve Mnuchin is going to China to talk to them about trade. If we're going to do anything with China on trade, we need our European allies who are arguing with now over their own trade agreements. The president suggested earlier, the White House did earlier this week, he might pull out of NAFTA. Finally, the negotiations with North Korea. Melissa, the president has 5 big things up in the air right now, all of which are undetermined. We don't know how they're going to turn out. That is a lot for the system to absorb at one time, but that's what it's being asked to do.
Okay, I like your thesis. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. You're saying that, you put all those things together and that's what gives you insecurity in the market, and that totally makes sense. At the same time, this is a Washington that has done nothing forever. It is exactly the opposite of everything we've seen in the past. Sort of nothing gets done. There's always the wringing of the hands as Iran charges full speed ahead with their nuclear program and pretends like they're not doing that. And they've signed this treaty and everybody pretends like everything is fine. They say that China's cheating on intellectual property and cheating on all of these different things, and they kind of do nothing about that. North Korea moves ahead with its missile program and its nuclear program. No one does anything about that. So while there's a lot of uncertainty, there's also the potential to fix at least some of the problems that we have in front of us.
Well, that's right, Melissa. And I would say in response to all that, that if you were trying to find an explanation or a rationalization for President Trump's method, that would be it. I mean, he's threatening Iran today with retaliation if they try anything. He's done the same thing against North Korea. And I think what he is attempting to do here is force the system to react, because normally, as you were just describing, it simply does not. And I think Donald Trump's method is to just throw these things out there, make them respond, try to describe deadlines. You've got the May 12th deadline coming up on the Iran deal. You've got a deadline coming up on North Korea and NAFTA. And he's just concluded the system will never react, never respond unless he does these sort of things. And I think he would also say something like this going on in the markets today is the price we have to pay for making any kind of progress on these difficult political issues.
Which could make sense because, the market is only down today if you cash out today. It's just you have to actualize your losses in order for them to be real on this day. In the meantime, it can go up and down. And all the problems that we described are predicated on the U.S. doing nothing. I mean, that's what all those actors and all those things that, whether it's the, Chinese stealing intellectual property, it's North Korea or Iran being aggressive with their programs, all of these things are based on that the U.S. has kind of been pushed around on these fronts, and we've not done anything about it because it's too scary. He's the bull in the china shop who's saying, I just may be the one that's crazy enough to actually do something about it.
Yeah, and based on history, their assumptions are correct. Whether it's the diplomatic process or the trade negotiations, there is always a way to find an excuse to kick the can down the road. But in all of these areas, I think there's become a moment when they have to be dealt with. To my mind, Melissa, the big question is how do we prioritize them? I think at the top of the list is the North Korean negotiation. That is the one that counts the most because of the imminent threat from them. And I think the White House at some point is going to have to decide whether something like Iran has to go back on, I wouldn't say the back burner, but maybe the middle burner while we deal with North Korea.
Well, it might be on the middle burner. I mean, you don't think, I always feel like anytime we're talking about dealing with China, whether it's trade, it's tariffs, it's intellectual property, that we're also really talking to them about North Korea. it. We're showing them what kind of pressure we can put on. I think those things are inextricably linked. Do you agree with that or no?
I completely agree with that. And that's what is going to make Secretary Mnuchin's conversation over there difficult, because China is holding that card.
Yeah.
Without China, no deal on North Korea. And that is the thing we're trying to get done right now. And I think the same thing is true with Emmanuel Macron. We need some help with them on China, and I'm sure that President Macron is making that argument to President Trump this evening.
Dan Henninger, always brilliant. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Good to be with you.